The arrival. The void between stars split apart like torn fabric. 1,000 warships of the hegemony emerged from hyperspace in perfect synchronization, their obsidian hulls drinking in the light of Sul. Each vessel measured 3 kilometers from bow to stern, armed with particle cannons that had reduced entire moons to dust. They arranged themselves in the formation that had conquered 200 worlds before this one, a spiral of death that tightened around prey until nothing remained but submission or... Admiral Krex stood at the center of his command deck, all 6 of his eyes focused on the blue marble that humans called Earth. His crystalline body caught and refracted the light from dozens of holographic displays, creating rainbow patterns across the bridge. In his 4 centuries of conquest, he had never seen a world so exposed, so vulnerable. No orbital defense platforms, no shield generators visible from space, no fleet waiting to meet them, just a planet spinning quietly in the darkness, surrounded by primitive satellites and a single space station that looked like it might fall apart if someone breathed on it too hard. The tactical officer approached with measured steps, her scales shifting from green to yellow, the color of confusion among her species. Admiral, our scans confirm what the intelligence report suggested. The humans possess nuclear weapons, approximately 15,000 of them, but they're all planet-based. They have achieved basic spaceflight, but nothing beyond chemical rockets. Their most advanced warship appears to be a submarine that operates underwater. Krex's mandibles clicked in what his species considered laughter. They fight each other in their oceans while the universe waits to be conquered? How quaint. What about their communication systems? Primitive electromagnetic broadcasts mostly. Radio waves, microwave transmissions, some fiber optic networks. They're still arguing about something called internet privacy, according to our translation algorithms. Half their population spends their time looking at images of small furry animals on handheld devices. The Admiral turned to his communication specialist, a being whose body was more energy than matter, crackling with controlled lightning. Send the standard surrender demand. All frequencies, all languages. Let them know the hegemony has arrived. The message went out across every channel humanity possessed. Television broadcasts interrupted. Radio stations went silent before the alien voice began. Cell phones buzzed with emergency alerts. The words were simple, spoken in perfect reproductions of Earth's major languages. People of Earth, you have been selected for integration into the galactic hegemony. Surrender your weapons and submit to our rule. You have 1 rotation of your planet to comply. Resistance will result in the complete sterilization of your biosphere. This is your only warning. Krex expected panic. He expected their primitive governments to argue among themselves, some wanting to fight, others wanting to surrender. He expected chaos that would make conquest easier. What he did not expect was what happened 30 seconds after the message ended. Every light on Earth went out. From space, it looked like someone had thrown a switch. Cities that blazed with electricity went dark. The entire night side of the planet became a void. Even the day side seemed dimmer somehow, as if the very atmosphere had changed. The space station, the International Space Station, their intelligence called it, went dark too. Every satellite stopped transmitting. Report! Krex barked, his crystalline form flashing red with alarm. Unknown, Admiral. Massive electromagnetic pulse, but not from a weapon. It's like they just turned everything off. All our sensors focused on the planet are showing null readings. No radio waves, no heat signatures from cities, no industrial activity. Even their magnetic field appears to be fluctuating. Before Krex could respond, space around his fleet erupted with light, but not the light of weapons or explosions. Words. Massive holographic words written in the hegemony's own ancient script, floating in space like ghost signs, each letter a kilometer tall. We've been expecting you. The bridge fell silent. Every officer stared at the impossible message hanging in the void. The hegemony's written language was known only to the highest echelons of their military. It was a dead language used only in the most classified documents. No human should even know it existed, let alone be able to write in it. How? The tactical officer whispered, her scales now shifting to the deep purple of fear. Then Earth began to change. The planet's surface rippled like water. What they had taken for oceans began to move. Vast sections lifting away from the planet's surface. Continental plates that should have been solid rock folded back like opening doors. Beneath them, revealed like a secret long hidden, was metal. Vast constructions of alien alloys that sensors couldn't identify. The entire planet was armored beneath its living surface. Cities they had thought were primitive population centers shed their facades like snakes shedding skin. Towers of glass and steel split apart to reveal weapon systems that looked more advanced than anything in the hegemony fleet. New York's skyline transformed into a forest of energy cannons. London's ancient buildings were actually camouflaged shield generators. Tokyo's urban sprawl hid a gravity manipulation array that could tear moons apart. But the true horror came when the moon turned around. Earth's moon, that barren rock that humans had visited only a handful of times according to intelligence, rotated in space. Its far side, always hidden from Earth, was not rock at all. It was a weapon. A single massive weapon pointed like a gun at the hegemony fleet. The barrel alone was 300 kilometers wide. Admiral Krex felt something he had not experienced in 4 centuries of conquest. Fear. A new transmission came through, this time from Earth. The screen lit up with a human face, an elderly woman with silver hair and eyes that held the weight of centuries. She spoke in perfect hegemony standard, with an accent that suggested she had been speaking it longer than Krex had been alive. "Admiral Krex of the Galactic Hegemony," she said calmly. "I am General Patricia Morrison, Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Command. I've been waiting to meet you for quite some time. 73 years to be exact." "Impossible," Krex managed to say. "Our first scouts only discovered your world 40 years ago." The human woman smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Your first scouts discovered us 112 years ago. They crashed in what we call Siberia. We helped them repair their ship and sent them on their way with false memories, and fabricated data showing Earth as a primitive world not worth immediate conquest. We've been preparing for your arrival ever since." The implications hit Krex like a physical blow. "You've been deceiving us for over a century?" Deceiving is such a harsh word. "We prefer managing expectations. You see, Admiral, humanity has a saying, if you want peace, prepare for war. We've been preparing for a very long time. Every war we've fought among ourselves has been practice. Every technological advancement has been a test. Every science fiction story we've written has been a simulation of possible futures. We knew you were coming. We knew what you'd expect to find, so we gave you exactly what you wanted to see. A primitive, divided world ripe for conquest." The moon weapon began to glow with a light that hurt to perceive even through the ship's filters. Energy readings spiked beyond what the hegemony's instruments could measure. Around the fleet, space itself began to warp, not from gravity or technology, but from something else, something that shouldn't be possible. "You're wondering about the moon cannon," General Morrison continued conversationally. "We call it the last argument. It doesn't fire projectiles or energy beams. It fires conceptual weapons, ideas given physical form. The round currently chambered is the concept of never having existed. Would you like to see what happens when we fire it at your fleet?" Krex's 6 eyes widened in perfect unison. "That's impossible. You can't weaponize concepts. The laws of physics as you understand them," Morrison interrupted. "We've had different teachers. You learned from conquering primitive worlds. We learned from centuries of asking, what if? And our scientists don't just study what is possible. They study what should be impossible, and then make it possible anyway." The reckoning. The human general's image flickered and was replaced by a view of Earth from space. But not the Earth the hegemony fleet could see. This was Earth without its camouflage, a world wrapped in technology so advanced it looked like magic. Orbital rings circled the equator. Space elevators rose like threads connecting the surface to massive stations hidden in higher dimensions. The atmosphere itself shimmed with what looked like a neural network made of light. "Let me tell you a story, Admiral Krex," Morrison's voice continued as the images played. 112 years ago, when your scouts crashed on our world, we were indeed primitive by galactic standards. We had just started to dream of flying. We were fighting what we called the Great War, killing each other with chemical weapons and machine guns. But when we found that crashed ship and its dying crew, everything changed. The image shifted to show humans in early 20th century clothing, carefully tending to crystalline beings like Krex, hegemony scouts dying in the Siberian snow. We could have let them die. We could have taken their technology and reverse engineered it. Instead, we saved them. We learned their language. We became friends. And they, thinking they were being kind to primitives, told us everything. About the hegemony, about the conquest fleet that would eventually come, About the 1,000 worlds that had fallen before you. Krex's tactical officer interrupted. Admiral, the moon weapon is charging to critical levels. If the humans' claims are accurate, they also told us, Morrison continued, about the hegemony's greatest weakness. You've never lost. In 10,000 years of expansion, you've never faced an enemy that could truly threaten you. You've grown comfortable in your superiority. You've stopped innovating. Why develop new weapons when the old ones work? Why learn new tactics when the same strategy has conquered 1,000 worlds? Around the hegemony fleet, space began to shimmer. Ships appeared, not emerging from hyperspace or uncloaking, but stepping sideways from parallel dimensions. Thousands of them, each one unique, each one impossible. Some were made of what looked like crystallized time. Others seemed to be holes in reality itself, shaped vaguely like vessels. One appeared to be a living creature the size of a moon, with eyes that tracked the hegemony ships like prey. We, on the other hand, Morrison said, have done nothing but innovate. Every human on Earth has spent their entire life preparing for this moment. Our children grow up playing strategy games designed to simulate this invasion. Our scientists have been working on weapons your physics says can't exist. Our soldiers have been training in virtual realities that perfectly replicate hegemony tactics. We've run this invasion scenario 18 billion times. Do you know how many times the hegemony won? Krex didn't answer. He couldn't. His mind was trying to process the impossible fleet surrounding him. 0, Morrison said simply. You never won once. Because you always do the same thing. You emerge from hyperspace in the same formation. You send the same surrender demand. You expect the same response. You're predictable, Admiral, and predictability is death in warfare. The human fleet began to move, not through space, but around it, beside it, through dimensions the hegemony didn't even have names for. They took positions that shouldn't exist, occupying the same space as hegemony ships without touching them, existing in parallel realities that overlap just enough to be visible but not enough to interact. Yet. But here's the thing, Morrison continued, and now her face appeared on screens throughout the hegemony fleet. Every ship, every personal device, every heads-up display showed the same elderly human woman with her terrible smile. We don't want to destroy you. Despite everything, despite the worlds you've conquered and the species you've enslaved, we don't want to be your executioners. Then what do you want? Krex asked, finding his voice at last. We want to make you an offer. The same offer those dying scouts made to us over a century ago. Though they didn't realize it at the time, we want to teach you what we've learned. We want to show you that there's another way. The 1,000 worlds you've conquered, we can free them without firing a shot. The species you've enslaved, we can give them back their dignity without shedding blood. The hegemony itself, we can transform it from an empire of conquest into something greater. The moon weapons' glow began to fade. The impossible fleet held their positions but powered down their weapons. Weapons that violated physics, weapons that attacked the soul, weapons that erased concepts themselves. It was the greatest display of power the hegemony had ever witnessed, and the humans were choosing not to use it. You're insane, Krex said. The hegemony has ruled for 10 millennia. We will not simply abandon our empire because one world asks nicely. Morrison laughed, a sound that somehow transmitted the weight of all human history, all the wars and peace, all the cruelty and kindness, all the times humanity had chosen to be better than their nature demanded. We're not asking, Admiral. We're offering. You see those scouts we saved? They're still alive, all 12 of them. They've been living on Earth for over a century, teaching us, learning from us, becoming something neither human nor hegemony, but something new, something better. The screen changed to show 12 crystalline beings like Krex, but different. They moved differently, thought differently. They were surrounded by humans working together on projects that bent reality. They were laughing, something the hegemony had forgotten how to do millennia ago. They told us the hegemony's history, Morrison said. How you once were explorers and scientists. How you discovered the secret of faster-than-light travel and set out to share it with the universe. How you encountered your first hostile species and had to fight for survival. How victory changed you, made you hard, made you believe that conquest was the only way to ensure safety. We understand that. Humanity has walked that same path many times, but we've also learned that there's always another choice. She paused, letting her words sink in. So here's our offer, Admiral Krex. Surrender. Not to conquest or slavery, but to possibility. Let us show you what the hegemony could become if it chose creation over destruction. Let us help you transform your empire of fear into a confederation of equals. Let us teach you what we've learned from nearly destroying ourselves a dozen times, that the only victory worth having is the one where everyone wins. The bridge of Krex's flagship was silent except for the hum of life support. Every officer was looking at him, waiting for orders. Attack and face weapons that shouldn't exist. Retreat and report failure to the Hegemony Council? And if we refuse? Krex asked, though he already knew the answer. Then we'll disable your fleet without killing a single soul, Morrison said simply. We'll send you back to the Hegemony with a message. Earth is under our protection. All worlds are under our protection. The age of conquest is over. Any fleet that comes to subjugate will be sent home in escape pods. Any world that asks for freedom will receive it. We won't conquer you. That would make us no better than what you've become, but we will stop you every time until you're ready to listen. The moon weapon turned away from the fleet, pointing once again at empty space. The impossible ships began to fade back into their parallel dimensions. Earth's camouflage began to reassert itself, the planet once again looking like a primitive world beneath its disguise. You have one Earth day to decide, Morrison said. Conquest or conversation, empire or evolution. The choice is yours, Admiral. But choose wisely. This moment, this exact moment, is the one we've been preparing for since your scouts first told us about the beautiful crystalline people who had lost their way among the stars. We've spent a century learning to be worthy of this moment. The question is, are you? The transmission ended. Earth's lights came back on, cities blazing with life. The International Space Station powered up. Satellites resumed their orbits. To any observer, it would look like nothing had happened. Just a primitive world going about its business, unaware of the armada hanging over it. But Krex knew better now. Every light was a weapon. Every satellite was a sensor. Every human walking on the streets below was a soldier in a war that had been over before it began. They had won not through violence but through preparation, not through conquest but through patience. For the first time in 4 centuries, Admiral Krex didn't know what to do. But for the first time in 4 centuries, he was curious about what might happen if he chose something other than conquest. He looked at his tactical officer, whose scales had shifted to the silver of deep thought. He looked at his weapons officer, who had already powered down the particle cannons without being asked. He looked at his crew, who were all staring at the impossible, innocent-looking world below. Open a channel to Earth, Krex said finally. Tell General Morrison. Tell her we would like to meet those scouts who've been living among humans. Tell her the Hegemony would like to learn. And in that moment, everything changed.